Hey, welcome to the first week of Tech Class or Tech Club. This week you're going to be creating a project just taking photos. So I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to use a camera properly and use a thing called Rule of the Thirds. What Rule of the Thirds is kind of think of a tic-tac-toe screen on your iPad, and I'll show you how to turn that on, and lining up pictures in a different way than you're probably used to. As you work on this project, I want you to find 3 different things to take pictures of. One needs to be a person or living thing, so like an animal, a person, something with a heartbeat beating. So you're going to take a picture of that, and you got to follow the Rule of the Thirds, and I'll show you some examples of that. You're going to take a picture of a person. You're going to take a picture of some type of plant. So it could be grass, it could be a plant, it could be a weed, it could be anything. You're going to take a picture using the Rule of the Thirds, and then you're going to take a picture of some type of object. It doesn't matter what object it is. It could be a bottle, it could be anything. And then I'll show you how to apply effects to those, like black and white and different types of effects to add emphasis to your picture and come up with 3 interesting pictures. So you might take a whole bunch of pictures and just upload your 3 favorite pictures, your 3 most interesting pictures. And I'll show you examples of Rule of the Thirds, and I want you to follow the Rule of the Thirds, because as we work on these projects, that's going to be an important thing, is how do we use Rule of the Thirds. Normally, whenever we would have tech class, this would be a project that we would do, and then you would go outside and take pictures, and then we would share. So some of you would probably go really quick, some of you, it might struggle a little bit, and I might come back and say, hey, that's not really Rule of the Thirds. I'll also show you how to edit photos using Rule of the Third principles. So just take a normal picture and how to edit that. So I'll be showing you all of that. So please continue watching this video to learn what Rule of the Thirds is and how to use it. Today we're going to be talking about photographs. So when you take a picture, you want to line up your picture in a certain way. And we're going to be talking about this certain way. It's called the Rule of the Thirds. So what we want to imagine is when you're looking at your picture through your iPad or camera, you look at what it's going to be, and we call that the viewfinder. Now what we want to imagine is in our viewfinder, we put these lines, we divide our screen up into thirds, into 3 different parts. It looks like a tic-tac-toe screen or the hashtag symbol. But what we want to do is when we take photos, we want to line up our photos on these lines, these thirds somewhere. Somehow, some way, we want to line up important parts on those lines, what we want to focus in on. And more importantly, we want to look at these intersections right there, where the lines cross each other. And I'm going to show you a few examples of that in a few minutes. So imagine we're taking a photo of somebody. Let's say somebody took a picture. And let me see here. Oops. So we have a picture here. Now, this would be a bad thing to do, is to put the picture of the person right here. That's sad. Why? Because we have all of this empty space right here. We have all this empty space. That's not what we want to do. If we want to take a good picture, what we want to do is start to line up our subject in those thirds. So I'm going to put up my pretend grids here and show you how I would take the picture. So I would want to line up that object, that person, on one of those points. So I would probably do something like this. See, now they're happy because they got their picture taken. And it's following the Rule of the Thirds. What that does is it creates focus, it fills up the frame, and then we just have this negative space, but this is where you can put other objects. And I'll show you how you can do some other things with that, lining up things. Now imagine we're taking a picture of, say, the mountains or the road, as the horizon they call it. Now a lot of people would take a picture like right here, like, you know, here's the road right here coming through, you know, they would line it up right in the middle. Well, that doesn't create an interesting picture. It kind of creates a boring picture. So what we want to do is line that up in those thirds. So let me imagine those thirds. I'll do this line really quick. Yeah. So I'm lining them up. Now what if I did, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my road up here And maybe even not there. What if I line my road up over here? So that looks a little more interesting. And then the mountains over here. Because my main focal points are, this road, this line, and then this road right here. And notice how I line those up on those rule of the thirds. That's what you want to focus in on. So when you take pictures, I could have done it this way as well. I'll show you really quick another way. Using the horizon line is I have those thirds. I could have lined up my picture right here. Whoops, let me get that pin. So I could have lined it up right there, and then the mountains here, and then have the road maybe like on this side instead. Now, does it have to be perfectly on there? No. But what that does, it just creates interest in your pictures. So whenever you're creating pictures, people find it a little more interesting. So let's show you a little bit on the camera on how to work it with the camera. So what we want to do is learn how to take pictures using that grid. So hopefully you have somebody you can take a picture of, because it's kind of hard to do this taking a picture of yourself. So you're supposed to take a picture of a person, something living. It could be a person, it could be a pet. But what I want you to do is look at these grids. Now, what's really bad is when we take pictures that are like this. Or even worse, we take pictures where they're really far away and we see the person like this. It's just not pretty. Don't be afraid to use the whole frame to take a picture, but line them up on these lines and then just take your picture. So this one, rule of the thirds. Let's go to photo. So this one, definitely rule of the thirds. This one, not rule of the thirds. This one, yeah, kind of follows rule of the thirds. Yeah, this one kind of follows rule of the thirds. Not exciting, but don't be afraid to get into your subject like this. Don't be afraid to cut off parts of their body. So like you're gonna take a picture of yourself, so just like, maybe you just wanna focus in on the eye. That's rule of the third. So if I look back at those pictures, yeah, there's some interesting pictures there. That one's really interesting, but I want you to come up with some creativeness. Then also when you take pictures, let's take a picture of the object. I'm gonna take a picture of this. Now I do not want to take the picture like this because it's in the middle. I don't want to take it like this, take it like this. That's not interesting. Now, technically, I'm okay right here, but still, what am I focused in on? Nobody really knows what I want to take a picture of. I want to take a picture of that bottle. Now, when I get really close, wow, that gets more interesting. But you know what? I'm going to get down on my knees and get down, and I want to take the picture looking up. Wow, look at that. Doesn't that look a lot more interesting than before? But don't be afraid to get in on the object. Now remember I talked about that rule of the thirds? Now, let's see, I want to do that, get that close. Now notice we get some background differences. Notice how the background starts to change. So we kept focusing on something different, so I just tap on the object I want to focus in on, and then just take that picture. Now that's a lot more interesting than, say, taking it from far away. So let's go outside really quick and show you some still life. I want to take a picture. We got a lot of things on here we can take pictures of. I want to take a picture. I saw some of these lemons over there. Or no, these were the orange trees. So let's say this right here. Now if I take a picture back here, you don't see that orange growing. But if I get up really close, I really can see all the dimples and the texture on that one. Now I can take it like that, just as long as it's lined up on that rule of thirds. Kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and take a picture like that. So what you're going to focus in on today is taking pictures that follow those rule of the thirds. Now if you turn in those 3 pictures and they're incorrect, well, I'm going to send them back to you, because I want you to find pictures that follow the rule of the thirds. Wow, this is a comfortable chair. Feels like I'm missing something. So remember, not like this, not like this, like this, this, or this. Remember, those 4 corners are very important to you. You want to line up your subject on one of those 4 points. So whenever you're taking the picture, those are important. You can be on those lines anywhere. That's fine as well. but you really want to focus in on those 4 points. So line on your objects on one of those 4 points. That will make an interesting picture. You can take them this way in portrait, or you can take them in landscape. But when you finish, just make sure you post them into Google Classroom. We're still adding students, so not everybody's here yet. As soon as we get everybody in, we'll start doing more projects. But this is going to be an important project because we're going to base a lot of stuff off of this project. So go take some pictures, have some fun, and share your pictures.